Today's talk is we, our world, and why are we here? Now, we all know that seeing is believing. Seeing is believing, except when you have a magician around. Right? So when you have a magician around, you do not really want to believe in what you're seeing. Right? No matter how convincing, seeing is believing. So you got to be aware, whether there's a magician around. You never know. But there is a magician around, and we don't even see the magician. Well, I'll let you know who the magician is. Your magician is called mind consciousness. Mind consciousness is a magician, right? And how is it so? Well, we know we have the five sense consciousness, taste consciousness, touch consciousness, smell consciousness, hearing consciousness, and eye consciousness. And we have this main consciousness, which is the mind consciousness. And the mind consciousness is a great magician, and I'll tell you why. Well, because I'm a physicist, I'm going to start from a physicist point of view. When you see something, what actually happens is that the image comes through across the lens of your eye and then form two small images at your retina. And those images are upside down and laterally inverted. That means from right and left. That's what it is. So that's the reality. And what happened is this: we got this three-dimensional world. Right? Okay? Physically, there's only two square little images. Right? And then we have three-dimensional world. So what's happening there? The magician is doing something, right? So we are not actually seeing things. It's scary to say that we are actually seeing what the mind is created. What the mind has created. What the mind is creating. That is actually something true. But I say, how can the mind do that? Well, the mind does that every night when you go to sleep. When you dream, without anything, maybe a little bit of emotions, the mind creates a world for you. Right? You don't know, it creates a world for you, and it puts you inside the world. And you live in the world of your dream, and you do not know any different. Right? You may enjoy your dream, or you may get frightened. And the only time when you really know is when you wake up. And it's a different state of mind. When you wake up, then you realize, wow, that was a dream. Fortunately it's a dream, Or say, wow, I'd like to stay in that dream a little bit longer. But you try to go to sleep, and get that dream, and you don't get it. So, in our waking consciousness, right, we are not actually seeing things as they are, like we used to believe. Seeing is believing. But the magician is conjuring up all this, right? Well, it's related to a sutta. It's called Rohitassa Sutta. And the Buddha says, in this fathom-long body, there is the world. There is the origination of the world. There's the cessation of the world. There is a path of practice leading to the end of the world. Now, that's what the Buddha says. In this phantom long body, there is no world. We only know the world through our senses. Right? It is our senses that detect the world. If you're a bit hard of hearing like myself, you hear a little bit, not clear. You have a way of hearing it, so you can hear clearly what other people say. Or else it's just sounds you can't make out. Sounds I can't make out. I'll tell you a story. This friend of mine one day came in. He rides a motorcycle. He came in and he's got this blue jacket. And then there was this pink stripe right across his blue jacket. So I thought, well, this guy, he's working in department with colors, He's probably got very bad taste. This pink stripe right across his blue jacket. So I say, why do you get this pink stripe across your blue jacket? And you look like a jockey, He said, what pink stripe? What pink stripe? I said, there's this pink stripe, that pink right in it across. And he just realized, that he didn't see any pink stripe. He's colorblind. He's colorblind for that color. Then I realized he was colorblind. He was actually working in a computer with colors as well. But that's beside the point. So I kept my secret anyway. Yeah. So I asked him, and then I found out. So what do you see a grass? He says the grass to me is orange, right? Orange, So I say, what color of trees is this orange, So just imagine his world, right? Orange, If you say go green, he doesn't understand what you're talking about, So it's orange in this world. You can never get a feeling of what green is like, It's orange, and then his response to orange, whatever his response is, may be different from green. So that's his world, right? Different from ours, right? But he coped with his world. He comes to understand his world through his own understanding. Well, if you have, we see everybody, we know who is here, But if you have a dog coming in here, it recognize all of you here through smell, right? But I can tell you who has been in here before, right? Because of the smell, traces of smell. So the dog world is different. So you say, yeah, we've been sitting there before. Can you find a person? Of course, the dog can do it. So the other world is different again, right? So a dog is also a being, a kind of being with the 5 khandhas, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, right? But it's different because of its karma, right? It's a dog. It's got a different type of consciousness. We here, right, depending on our karma, think we all see similar things. We don't really know, So the world is out there, there's no question. You walk into the walls, you walk into trees, there's something solid there. So when you see a tree falling, you cannot say that's mind generated, you better get out of the way, Right? And there's something solid there. But we don't know what it is. We can't know, we can't really know. We can only know through our senses. If our senses is defective, right, then the quality of a world is different. If our senses is much more effective, you can say, for example, you can see infrared. Then we can see, that cup is hot. Got this infrared here. But we don't know. We have to find out whether it's hot or not. You're gonna find. Oh, it's not hot. It's warm actually. So we can't see it, So if you have that extra little bit, the infrared region, you can see the infrared region, right? Then you're better than others. You can tell people, that's hot, that's warm, right? You'll be better than others. Whether you got a little better karma or not, I don't know. And there's another occasion I met somebody we get talking about, and he says, I'm totally colorblind, and says, "Can you tell me what green is like? Not in terms of colors, however you want to tell it." So I thought about it. I think, well, there's olive green, there's emerald green, there's apple green. He says, there's so many types of green, right? And then I said, we have shades of green. Then what? I said, what do you see? He says, I see shades of grey. I said, fortunately, green is all have a shade. So he gave up. I can never understand. He thought he's 70 years old, right? And his idea of colors throughout 70 years of his life is green is just one color. That's his concept. He doesn't know. Concept, that's all. No experience of colors. So our experience of the world depends very much on our karma itself. Another great example is from Sutta. It says, we see milk. The devas see milk as honey. The petas sees milk as blood. So those are three distinct, different karma, right? So a response is milk. The peta yoni sees, it's blood. And the deva says it's honey. So what is it? Is it milk? Is it blood? Or is it honey? What is it? Well, it's something out there anyway. So we call it milk. Right? So you can say that's a kind of reality, a human reality. Right? You have the deva reality, you have the dog's reality, and you have the peta's reality. Now, in our reality, the human reality, in the Buddhist point of view, we have two types of reality. One is called absolute reality, and the other one is called conventional reality. Now, what's the difference? Well, we know most stuff by conventional reality. An example is, say, for example, a monk's bath, alms bowl, part. You go pindapat with that alms bowl. Now, if you take it to the West, somebody who doesn't know about it, they say, well, it could be a spittoon. That's bad news, Or it could be a plant pot. Stainless steel goldfish bowl, whatever, but not alms bowl. Not alms bowl. They don't have that vocabulary there. Right? So you tell alms bowl. What's alms bowl? You go and ask food for it. Why do you go and ask food for it? Do people give you food? Why do people have to give you food? So you better not start that line of thought. But that's the reality, right? That's the conventional reality, right? The absolute reality is made of solid, made of whatever material is, and it is a container. But once you have designated as an alms bowl, you have to respect people's conventional reality. You don't use it as spittoon, right? So it's the same thing when you go to people's house and people say, this is the dishcloth, this is the tea towel. You respect that. Although in your house you may use it the other way around. But when you go to somebody's house, even though they're wrong, you respect the conventional reality. Right? So if somebody says, we sweep from this way out, and then you think, it might be more efficient to sweep from this way out, so it's cleaner. Respect people's point of view, right? Respect their reality. It's all conventional reality, by convention, right? But it's still a reality because people believe it to be true. People believe it to be right. Right? What's a lot of angst, a lot of agony, a lot of argument, right? Because of difference in this conventional reality. So we come to know there is absolute reality and conventional reality. So most things that you know are conventional reality. So the next time when you're beginning to argue, you got to find out what you're arguing about. If you're just arguing about conventional reality, then let go. It's convention. It doesn't cost you much. So long as you don't break the 5 precepts, you can let go, right? However they want to do it, you know. You put milk and then put tea bags and put hot water, or you put tea bags, hot water, and then milk. You know, that's 2 ways of doing it in England, right? And somebody does it, oh yeah, you accept it, but that's the way they do it, you know. So how do we come to know things? How do we come to see things? We don't actually see things, right? We create an image of the thing, yeah, and that image I call an identikit, where we put in all the attributes, colors, shape, history, our experiences in it. So when you see somebody, you create an identikit of somebody, right? Shape, eyes, and everything. Then you fill in maybe a bit of history. We hear about him, you know, put his history in it. Then we put all likes and dislikes, right? So we create identikits. And when you see the person, we don't really see them. We just project the identikit onto them. So we only see identikit. Believe it or not, we only see identikit. Right? It's so fast. You meet somebody and you create identikit, then you can recognize the next time, and you have the same feeling for that person. Same feeling, according to the identikit you build, right? So happens that the woman has eyes like your mother, or have eyes like an actress you like, so you like the person, right? And he happens to have a voice who is like your enemy, you're suspicious of him. Right? So you get a suspicious identikit. This guy, you know, you got to be careful about him, you know. He may be like that because he speaks that way. Right? So that's what we do. Right? So when you see people we know, we don't really know. Like somebody who is 40 years old, 50 years old, what do you know about him? 50 years, what is his childhood like? What's his baby like? How many girlfriends has he had? You don't really know. But there you see, I know it's like. Come to the conclusion, he's a good guy, he's a bad guy. So, you know, it's all identikits you create. And sometimes you get a shock when we know somebody and we've not seen them for 20 years. And then we come and they say, hey, what happened to you? Nothing happened, you just grow old, that's all. Right? Your identikit doesn't grow. Right? It stays the same. So you try to match up the identikit with that person. So you modify your identikit, right? And I say, yeah. Usually you're not sure. You don't believe he's that person. So you say, yeah, it sounds like what he used to sound like. Yeah, he knows my history. Yeah, he knows the history together when we did a prank or nobody knows, you know. So then you can't accept him. Then you alter the image of the identikit, the image. Still the same old feeling. And everything, update a little bit. So another 10 years, it's still got to update it again, you know. So it's identical. We don't see. So like here, I don't know how many of you here, there may be 30 of you. So 30 of you have 30 different identities of Kovido Bhikkhu. Right? So 30. So which is the one I'm supposed to believe? Which identikit of the Kovido Bhikkhu, which I'm supposed to believe? None of them. Right? So when you have 30 friends and they tell you what you are, right, know that they create an identikit depending on their conditioning. Nothing to do with you. Depending on the conditioning, depending on what they hear, right? That's it. That's all it. Some of the bits they maybe have the same because they hear the same story, right? Same liking. But the knowledge of you, of who you are, is their own creation. So when somebody come and say you're like this, you're like that, you're bad, you don't follow the rules, you do what you like, you say yeah. You have to accept that, because that's what they create. Right? So that's one way of not taking yourself too seriously. And when you create your own depressive self, I'm bad, I'm no good, I'm the worst in the world, I don't help people, I can't do this, I can't do that, bad things always happen to me. That is not you. That is just an identity you created according to your conditioning. And usually when you create the identity, it's the time when you are depressed, when you're feeling low. Yeah? Then you keep reinforcing the identity. And there are people who are overconfident. They update their identity when they're successful. When they fail, they don't want to know about anything. They don't update their identity. Oh, I'm great, I've achieved this, this is so much I've achieved. Right? And they become confident, super confident, egoistic. They can never fail. They might have failed 10 times, but they can't remember. No, I can't remember that. It's not my fault, it's only. That kind of thing, yeah. So the conditioning, So somebody who's depressive will say everything's my fault. Somebody who's egoistic says it's not my fault. There's only somebody, who's putting the spanner in the works, So that's how we create this identity. Identity of ourselves, identity of people, identity of things. Right? The reason why I point this out is to let you realize that is the Paramattha Dhamma. That is the absolute reality. That we create nothing but identities. And when you come to know yourself, your children have different identity of you. And you have and another identity of yourself as a father. Or as a mother, so your response to your children is different from your response to your boss. Why? You cannot treat your boss as though he's a child, You cannot say, nor can you treat your children as though he or she is the boss. Maybe, I don't know. Right? So all in all, you have all different identities. CEO of a company. Different identity, so you start giving a talk in the committee room, and then suddenly your secretary bring your child here. So which identity are you going to adopt? You've got to think quickly. Am I a CEO or am I a father? Right? So you got to switch identity, right? So in that sense, you have all these different identities. We don't have something called atta. A self. The atta is created. The atta is similar to this identity. Only that the self we have is much more is stronger. This is perception. We can see it. But self, atta, is view. Strongly held view. Right? And they become a belief. Right? And why is it that it has become so strong? The reason is because of our language. When we communicate, we say I, we say you. Right? Let's go there. That means you and me. Right? So we don't have we cannot exist without language, without conventionality. But when we use I and you, that's conventionality. But we forget. Right? So you get impressed that this is me, that's you. Things are happening to me. Things doesn't happen to you. Things goes according to dependent origination. You all know that. Because of contact, feeling arises. Because of feeling, craving arises. Due to craving, clinging arises. Depending on clinging, becoming, and so on. Right? That's the way things happen. You contact with the person you like, you feel happy. Happy feelings come. Memories, perception of the person. Perception of the identity of the person. Right? So from contact, you get the perception of identity, then you have the feeling. That means we have a way out. All we have to do is change the identity. There is a way of changing our identity. Right? So if you don't like spiders, snakes, and all that, you can change those identities. Right? So that's all you see. All these things, like dogs, and you have a big dog, in Asian countries, walk with the dog, people start giving you ways, staying away from you, They think dogs is dirty, dogs smell, they bite you, When you go to the West, you have a beautiful big dog, people come across you. You want to be your friend, people talk to your dog. Children ask you, can I pet your dog? Different identity. Identity is passed on to us. Our mother says, don't go near Lasam. Dirty, That's our upbringing. So that's all our conditioning. And we are conditioning ourselves, and we don't realize. When we go to a bookshop, just go straight to that section, the books we like. We don't go to the bookshop and buy books we don't like. Nobody does that. Right? Why go and buy books? So there's different conditioning. You find books that support our ideas. If it doesn't, then we find another book which argues against it. That's our conditioning. What can we do about it? In the beginning, when we realize what identity, first thing is not to believe, like in the magician of the mind. Don't believe it, Just know that it is my creator. Whoever I know, say not sure. Achancha is very good at this. It's not sure, uncertain. It's something I built myself. Right? So in that sense, you become more tolerant. You don't jump to conclusion. It's always like that. Yeah, every time I see him, he always like that. It's definitely him, nobody else. So we avoid doing things like that. We avoid jumping to conclusion. If something goes wrong, we know who to mind. Right? It's always that person. Never mind. No, straight. Did you do this? So you want to stay on the level of not sure. We cannot do the opposite. No, we cannot say somebody whom we don't like. Say you won't say somebody who we think is no good. You don't say he's good, because when you say it's good, the mind argues. When it says not sure, it shuts the mind up. How do you argue? The mind cannot argue with not sure. Right? So the not sure thing, a purpose, is to shut the mind up. Not sure. So if I say something I'm not sure, you can't ask anymore. You can't argue anymore. Right? Oh, that's a very powerful technique taught by Achancha. Not sure, uncertain. That's the first stage. And when you come, you try to have a little bit of compassion, understand things come from dependent origination, right? And try to get away from this idea of good, bad, and everything. And know that when somebody is really doing something bad, that is their conditioning. Because of the contact, the condition that way. Because you say this word, they always fly into the handle. Right? They haven't learned to cope with that. Right? So you want to understand people. You have compassion to see that people sometimes got the conditioning. Because of the conditioning, they behave in that way. They just go straight from contact to becoming angry. Can you get rid of this identity? Yes, you can get rid of this identity. When you make the first breakthrough, by looking at the 3 characteristics of the 5 khandha, that's the only way to make the first breakthrough. When you make the first breakthrough, your view of self is shattered. Right? It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go missing. It's not that you can't find it. But you know that it's been shattered. Once this view of self is shattered, all the identities that you've retained in your mind are also shattered. And you have an empty mind. No identities. No identity to play with. When if nothing to do, you start playing with the identities. This person talking to that person, this person taking a revenge, all sorts. It doesn't mean your problem is solved. It means that your identity is destroyed. Your mind's empty. But because you still have craving, you still create identity. You only don't keep them, but you still create identity. You create those identities because of your hate. You want to have a little revenge, in your mind, a little resentment. Or you create identity yourself in the world because you got this lust or you got this thing. Right? So you still create identities. This woman of sin, wherever is it, you remember her, then you create this little identity fantasy, right? Even after you make the first breakthrough, you do not retain the identity. But at that moment, you still create the identity, you still enjoy it, you still keep out your resentment. Now, when you come to the second breakthrough, then you don't create identity due to resentment or due to lust. But you still create identities for passion, for yourself-eating, musang durian or something like that. You still create identity, 5 durians, all to yourself. People donate to you or whatever. Anyway. Right? So that's your second breakthrough. Right? When you come to your third breakthrough, right? You don't create things, you don't create identities to participate on sensual pleasure, eating, because by that time you would have a lot of internal happiness, internal peace, that those things becomes hot, it's troublesome. You don't enjoy it. You don't enjoy this identity in the mind doing all that. You don't enjoy it. You don't do that anymore. The heart doesn't bother. The heart doesn't create. It's not worthwhile. But you still create an identity of yourself. And what it creates is that it creates a shape, an irregular shape. And then you put a flame of pride there, Then you should identify with it. Again, this is who I am, Kovido Bhikkhu, Or this is who I am, whatever, So you still create identity, but very, very. The identity you create are in the form of pride, craving to be, craving for form, craving for formless, So you create yourself as being noble, as somebody. It's only when you finish the job, the last stage. It's only then you don't create an identity. There's no reason to create an identity. What happens then is, according to the Bahia Sutta, it says, In reference to the seen, there's only the seen. In reference to the heard, there's only the heard. In reference to the sense, there's only the sense. In reference to the cognite, there's only the God. There is no you connected with that. When there's no you, you're neither here, nor yonder, nor in between. That is the end of suffering. And I'm going to stop there. You're welcome to ask any question.
Our thanks to Bante for delivering an excellent talk. Any questions, brothers and sisters? Please feel free to come forward and use the mic as we are doing recording for this talk. Any questions?
Bahia Sutta. It's called the Bahia Sutta. Yeah, Bahia. Bahia, the backcloth ascetic. Now, the story goes that Bahia, the ascetic, one day was sitting in seclusion, and then he was thinking, in this world there are arahants. He's thinking, am I one of them? So he's somebody who's practiced as an ascetic, has practiced to a very high level. So he was thinking, am I one of them? Then he has a relative who has become a deva. And then the deva says, Bahia, you are not an arahant. You're not close to arahant. You haven't got a path to the arahant. You do not know the way to become an arahant. So Bahia asked the deva, who in this world is the arahant? And then the Deva, told Bahia in such a place there's the Buddha. So Bahia went there, find the Buddha, and then asked the Buddha, can you please teach me Dhamma for my benefit, And then the Buddha said, now it's not the time, Bahia, we are going out for alms, And then the Bahia said the second time, and with the Buddha, if you ask him the third time, he'll do it. So Bahia says, yeah, we don't know where. Bahia says that, you don't know what's going to happen to me, and then, please teach the teaching for the third time. And the Buddha says, that's exactly what the Buddha says. They practice in this way, in reference to the sin, there's only the sin, and so on. And then he left Bahia. And then at that particular moment, before even the Buddha left, Bahia became an arahant. Right? And he became an arahant because he has practiced samatha to such a stage that he can go through all this insight very fast and became an arahant. That's because of the strength of his samadhi. In India, what they practice is, in those times, as far as I know from what I read, most of them, because when they leave the world, jhana, practicing up to the fourth jhana, is nothing special. It's natural. When you become an ascetic, what do you practice? You practice jhana. You don't practice anything else. You practice jhana. Whatever it is, very well known, yoga, whatever, discipline, jhana. The only thing that's special is the arupa jhanas, realm of infinite space, realm of infinite consciousness, realm of nothingness, realm of neither perception nor non-perception. So those are the special ones, So Bahia may not have attained, he definitely have the fourth jhana, but he probably has the arupa jhanas as well. That's my own conclusion. It's not stated in the sutta, nor is it stated in the commentary anyway. Although I'm not a scholar. So Bahia, according to the Buddha, or commentary, it says that the fastest to attain enlightenment. So when the Buddha came back, Bahia That's some stories goes, you know, he get got by a cow and he died, you know, and then that's the story. Yeah. The one thing with the Buddha is that he has this ability to give just the right teaching for the right person. So he says, by we can understand this, you know, just this brief statement, and became Arahant. Yeah, for others, the Buddha said, well, you got to take this white cloth and let's start rubbing, you know, until you get enlightened, you know. Yeah, so you can't teach, you know, so you give him white cloth. You know about that sutta, yeah. Okay, any more questions?
Yes. Talking about this, the Buddha's teaching disappear, is it due to Patana Sutta in the Abhidhamma, or what are the conditions that the Sutta can disappear from the world? Can you explain that?
What disappeared in the world?
The Buddha's teaching.
Yeah.
This one of the meditation teachers told me that when this Patana Sutta in the Abhidhamma, condition relationship with the Sutta or the human beings, and this Sutta, the Buddha's teaching will disappear. Is it something like that?
The Patana belongs to the Abhidhamma.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's the seventh book of Abhidhamma. Yeah. You do not want to know about the Patana. The Patana is just a classification, and what the Patana does is says it is a summary of the 108 types of consciousness. So it's because depending on that, you know, you have so many of these type of consciousness. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense for people who read it. Yeah, unless you know all the 108 types of consciousness by heart, you know, then you will understand. Then it's a classification. Patana is for teachers who wanted to solve a problem which they cannot solve. Then they use the Patana to find in what category certain types of consciousness can exist, certain type of consciousness does not exist. Right? That is using academic. But if you practice your meditation, you have fourth jhana, then wisdom arises in you. The Buddha did not. Everything that comes from the Buddha comes from his own wisdom that arises in himself. Right? Whatever that is, it arises in himself. Right? Because of his depth of his samadhi, and because his enlightened one. There's no longer any hindrances. You know, whatever he wants to know, he'll come to know. Okay. What I've said is not related to Abhidhamma at all. Yeah. All right.
As a physicist, can you please explain to us what actually happens what is it that happens?
There are many ways to explain, you know, and all of that is theoretical. I don't know. You have to ask. You have to ask an Arahant about that, you know. But I can tell you that there is an absence of greed, hate, and delusion. There's an absence of a view of self, perception of self, right? It's just stated that you come to know things, right? Whatever you see, you know. That's the function of citta, to know. We see things we don't know, right? We figure out. Right? With an Arahant, they see things they know. And how do they know? Knowing arises to themselves. Knowing can arise because they don't have hindrances. They don't have this defilement. Right? So that is the natural process. The mind knows, right? It sees, it has clear comprehension, it has the energy, it has the mindfulness, clear comprehension arises, wisdom arises. So the Arhat doesn't have any defilements at all, right? So it's a pure state, right? Pure in the sense that it doesn't have any defilements, no greed, hate, and delusion, right? And then, other than that, they're still normal, you know. So they can enjoy things if they want. They have a control of their mind. You know, if they want to see beauty, they can still see beauty, right? It doesn't mean that they can't, right? If they want to see beauty, well, I know what beauty is, but they understand beauty, because beauty is concocted, something we make up, right? So they can do whatever they want with their mind, right? But they keep in, most of the time they keep in equanimity. If you talk to an arhat about something, you know they understand, because they can see your point of view. See? So they are normal plus supernormal, the kind of thing. Yep. Yeah. Mm. 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 In England, we have Sri Lankan community and Thai communities, Cambodians as well, Laos, and people from Southeast Asia, and they are the people who are the main core supporters of most of the smaller temples in England. So without them, the temple I'm in, which is in Cambridge, right, cannot exist. It is them who are always bringing food to the monk. Right? Every day there are about 2 families who provide food for the monks, and they are the one who gather together to offer money, accommodation, food, The Achancha tradition does make an impact in UK as well as other Western countries because the presence of Western monks. They know how the Western mind works, so they can explain it through that way. And still that, because it's a forest tradition, limited, in the ways that they are able to behave. They have to behave like proper forest monk, right? Which means they don't have the money, so it's kind of, you can't go anywhere, There are a lot of restrictions in it. So there are lots of core people who are interested in Buddhism who come to practice meditation most of the time. So most of them interested in meditation and wisdom. Then there are lots and lots of like societies in Malaysia, Tibetan Buddhism, Mahayana, societies going on. So it is quite active, and then because of this trend about mindfulness, mindfulness-based stress, whatever is it, mindfulness, CBT, and all that sort of stuff. So because of mindfulness, people are coming attracted to Buddhism in the West. There are people who become monks as well, in lots of them as well. They're very keen, and the knowledge of Buddhism, there are 2 classes. There are some who know very little, but there are some who know a lot. As much as you do, or as much as I do. Young people as well as middle-aged people. Okay? The Oxford Buddha Vihara is a different one. The abbot of Oxford Buddha Vihara, Kamai Dhammasami, is one of my achan. Is during the ordination,
Any more questions? Brother, can you come forward?
Okay, my name is Aruli. First time coming here. You talk about reality, sir. That you talk about reality. There are certain reality we can look through our senses, and we form a picture of this is reality. A certain realities we cannot use our senses to explain. For example, just say we talk about inflation. Inflation is reality, but we cannot see with our eyes, but it is there. Spirits is something like a reality. We cannot see with our senses. So I seek your explanation to understand reality from simple examples. Those reality that we cannot see with our senses, so that we can get a better understanding of what reality is. The sense, the reality you talk about, we can understand from our senses, which also can be misleading. I understand to some extent, but I don't have the knowledge and ability to understand what are the realities that we cannot realize with our senses. I'll be very happy if you can explain to us in simple examples so that we can have better understanding of reality.
Well, you have to see the reality from two different aspects. That's conventional reality, and conventional reality is whether you're talking about the convention of the devas, or the convention of the human being, or the convention of the dogs. Right? You understand that? Yeah. So in actual conventional reality, you can forget about it because it's dependent on karma. Right? If you're born as a dog, your conventionality living in this world will be such and such. If you're devas, your conventional reality, so it's different. Just have to explain the difference between dog, devas, and human. Now, when it comes to Paramattha Dhamma, absolute reality, we got to be careful as well. Right? In what sense is it careful? Well, the reason is because at the utmost, the Buddha says, what I teach is the end of suffering. Right? And then what he does, it gave us the 5 khandhas to work with. And the purpose of using the 5 khandhas is to end suffering, to see suffering. He can make it into 6 khandhas, 7 khandhas, 8 khandhas, 10 khandhas. You don't have to have 32 parts of the body, you can have 40 parts of the body, but the Buddha in his wisdom divided it in such a way so we can work. So the sutta, the teaching of the Buddha, is a path. He keep on saying, when people ask him, I teach nothing. Suffering, cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path to the end of suffering. Right? So is there a reality? Yes, there is a reality. Of course. And what is that reality? The reality is Nibbana. Right? And recently, according to Ajahn Amaro, not according to Ajahn Amaro, sorry, I shouldn't say. Ajahn Amaro summarizes, we can see reality in three different ways. And when I mean reality, I mean Nibbana. One way is emptiness. Right? We see emptiness. It doesn't mean we see nothing. We see emptiness means we see everything is without an essence, without a self. So we don't have to fear. We don't have to fear that there is somebody with an intention to hurt us. Because everything is dependently originated. There's no somebody who's going to hurt us. There's no us who wants to hurt somebody. Right? That's a self. Atta. There's no atta. So it's empty of self, empty of essence. Everything is dependently originated. If things doesn't change, if things don't change, we will be stuck here like that, all of us in this room, through eternity. There's no world. Right? We're stationary like that. Through eternity, because we don't change, we don't move. Horrible thought, isn't it? You can't progress. Right? Second aspect of reality is called tathata, suchness. Like I say, there are things out there we don't know. So we apply a word called tathata, suchness. Just I say, what is milk? What is honey? What is blood? So we can, there's suchness. It is suchness. Depending on your karma, you say different suchness. So there's two ways. One is seeing empty of things, and one acknowledging there are things there. But we can't describe it, because it's dependent on our karma. And the third way of saying it is attamayata, right? And that relates to what I've said. In the scene, in reference to the scene, there's only the scene. In reference to the hurt, there is only the hurt. There is no making up of things. When you see outside, you don't make it up. You don't make it up to something which is an identity. Right? We make up because we like it. This craving. You want to handle it. So we make up, we can identify it, we can play with it. Right? Hate it, love it, change it, improve it. Right? So it's because of our passion for playing with things. That's why we create things. The people who are enlightened, they're fed up of things. In that sense, they're fed up of making up things. It causes problem, causes suffering, causes unnecessary thinking, causes papancha, perpetuating thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and no end. You don't go anywhere with thinking, right? So there's attamayata, which is, some call it fashioning, but I call it not making it up, fashioning. But this attamayata, that's the objective side. That means we see it from there. Now on the subjective, there's no identification with the thing. Right? We don't identify as what it is. You don't even label it. You say, yeah, okay, camera. We don't call it camera. We say there's something there. It does what it does. Whatever it does. Right? There's no interest in it. Okay? So that's reality. That's the reality which the Buddha taught. Other than that, it's our making things up. Other than what it is. Body is special, feeling is special, perception is special, thinking is special, I say, philosophy, and then the consciousness is special, right? So, that's from the Buddhist point of view. The most important thing to understand is our job, taught by the Buddha, is to get to the end of suffering, not to know what there is, reality is. Okay?